So welcome everyone. We wanted to get together, Rachel and I, to make a little recording for you about dreams. We did have a optimal sleep workshop in April, and at the end we had some wonderful questions about dreams, and we wanted to follow up with you on that. So Rachel is the queen of dreams, in my world anyways. So I posed a couple of questions to her, and we thought this would be a great format to video and audio and just share it so you can get some of your questions answered. But from what I've gathered, there's so much more to understand, explore, or not explore. So I'll let Rachel really explain a bit more about the dreams. And this will go kind of like a Q&A. And the first question I had for her is, what are dreams?
Yeah, it's such a great, mysterious question. Um, so my little bit of understanding of dreams comes from my work, my study in depth psychology. I have my master's in depth psychology from Pacifica Graduate Institute. And depth just refers, and psyche too, but both refer to the soul. So in this tradition, and others as well, indigenous traditions all over the world have valued dreams. But dreams are seen as the expression of the soul or of our depths. So you could also think of that as your subconscious and even that which is unconscious. So, in modern science, Freud was one of the first scientists who uncovered that we have a subconscious mind, and he discovered it through dreams, that through the dreams his clients brought to him. And Carl Jung said, not only do we have a personal subconscious, but we have a collective subconscious where we're all connected. So the language of the soul is imagery and symbols. And that's what dreams are. They're just these beautiful, richly layered tapestries of imagery and symbols. So the soul doesn't speak in the language of the conscious mind. So a dream is the expression of our underground or inner world workings and process. And that can apply to, like, I think of there are about three different kinds of dreams. There's our dreams in nighttime sleep. There are daydreams, our imaginations when we're not sleeping. And then you and I both know how much we love yoga nidra. And that's a sort of, it's not a sleeping dream, neither is it an awake dream. It's the in between where imagery and understanding and insight can flesh up. So,
And I'm curious, you mentioned this could be sort of personal, but also like like a global, more communal. So dreams could be,
they could be either. So your nighttime dreams or dreams you remember, they might be coming from your own personal subconscious, but occasionally your dream is actually sourcing, it has its roots in the collective subconscious. So for example, Jung, in his day, one of his big dreams was he dreamed of a map of Europe with blood on it. And that was just prior to World War II.
wow,
That would be an example of a dream coming from the collective subconscious.
that's
Yeah.
powerful.
Yeah.
Wow.
And so, at this time that we're in, where the world is in such a strange and new state with pandemic, I wouldn't be surprised if lots of people are having collective sub psyche dreams.
That's what I was kind of wondering too.
Mhm.
I've heard it from quite a few people that their dreams are more vivid, or they're dreaming now and they haven't really dreamed really in the past, or not like this. So that's curious that you mentioned there could be this deeper underlying
Right,
source that it's bubbling up from and that we're experiencing it from.
exactly. Mine have been more disturbing, and I don't think it's just my personal psyche. There is
Right.
that, but it feels like more.
Okay. And so you kind of already pointed to it, but is there anything else that you maybe wanted to say about like why we dream? If there is a why?
I don't know that. I think that's a mystery we've not totally unpacked, but we do know it's tied to our psychic process. So, the events of our lifetime and the collective events of the world we're constantly processing in terms of our emotions and beliefs. And so that's how the psyche does it.
So I personally have had periods of my life where I've dreamt a lot, and then periods of my life where I really don't dream much.
Mm-hmm.
And it can be interesting to keep a dream journal and reflect like what's happening or what's going on kind of in the daytime and in my life at that period if I'm processing. So I've been curious, and I know I've asked you before a little bit about dream interpretation. So do people interpret dreams well? Should they be interpreting dreams? Do you have any input on that?
Such a good question again. And I love it because again, dreams are on that threshold of the mystery. So there's just so much we don't know and can't know about them. One thing that I want to say right away is there's a dream poet that I love who said that the dream you don't remember is the dream that heals you. Right? So we sort of, with our conscious awake minds, we take all this control. We think, oh, if I can figure this out, if I can figure this out, then I will heal myself, or I will. But the healing is happening at the subconscious level, and you don't have to remember or interpret a dream to receive healing. That being said, it can be very valuable work. And the way I was taught to work with dreams is that to superimpose the ego on them and say, I'm going to interpret you, is very egoic and arrogant, because the dream is an expression of the soul. So it's an autonomous thing. It's its own character, it's its own creation, it's its own dynamic play. And for us to sort of pick it apart takes its life away from it, dissects it. So one of the better ways to work with dreams is to first do free association. Like, what does this remind me of? Say you're taking one character in your dream. Maybe there's an animal in your dream, and you're going to work with that the character. And so first, just free associate. What does this remind you of? Is there a movie it reminds you of? Is there a pet? Like, just all the free association you can think of, and then amplify it. So notice the scenery around the character. Notice how you feel in the dream. Notice how the character feels about you, just the tone and the mood. And then the third thing would be to give the character its own voice, to do active imagination with it, or some type of meditation where it gets sort of like we do with visitors in iRest, right? To let it have its own voice, have its own actions, deliver its own message, move and say and speak in the way it wants to, so that you're learning from it rather than sort of superimposing what you think onto it.
Well, that seems a bit sweeter and more tender than me going into my dream book in my bookcase and searching bees and just getting a blanket answer for what bees might mean in my dreams. It seems sometimes it's on and other times it's just a little like suggestive.
Yeah, and it makes it personal to you, right? And to your present circumstances in life. And dream symbols or symbol books can be helpful in that, like you said, you can just read through and see what does feel alive about that that symbol in world symbolism. Like, symbols are real in the world, but then make it very personal. Take it back into the specific present moment interaction with you and your dream character.
So that points me to like my last curiosity, I think, for this like short little intro you're doing on dreams with me. So I do appreciate that, is that reoccurring dream. I keep having certain dreams where I'm in like the same landscape and it's always the same landscape. Maybe what I'm doing is a little different, but the landscape is like so real. It's so, every time I go back into it, it's there. Or my partner has one that is a little less fun, it's a little bit more fearful. And I know people have things with like falling or flying. So I'm curious about reoccurring dreams or reoccurring content.
So good. Yeah. Well, I would say definitely it's a message the psyche wants to have land. of some sort, message that's trying to get through. And rather than reacting to the reoccurring dream, especially the ones that are uncomfortable, be curious. Ask the questions. What is this speaking to me? Like when you're in that comfortable landscape, asking yourself, what does this landscape speak to me? What does it want me to know? What possibly am I learning by showing up in this landscape again and again? Or for the uncomfortable reoccurring dreams, like what am I processing in my life, or what's unprocessed that wants to be seen, heard, and met in my experience? Because it's never about something else. That's one of the key things about dreams. They're always about our own internal psyche. And yes, it may be coming from the subconscious, but someone else is never making your dream happen. Right?
I need that in a statement, like,
Yeah.
period.
Yeah. Yeah. So say I have this in my article I wrote, but say Aunt Hilda shows up in your dream. Your dream is not about Aunt Hilda. Your psyche has simply taken the image of Aunt Hilda and whatever that image represents to you and superimposed her image on your own movement or your own emotion or your own experience that's trying to be processed that she reminds you of. Or say there's a shady, scary character in your dream. I don't know what your partner's reoccurring one is, but it's not something outside yourself that's showing up or that's causing this. It's a part of your own psyche that's wanting to be welcomed and seen.
This is so wonderful. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. It's fun. I feel like I know a tiny bit, and it's an iceberg underneath that. And then I only get to share a tiny bit of the tiny bit I know. So thank you for inviting me into the mystery of dreams.
Yes, thank you for sharing. And is there any last little gem that you would like to impart about dreams before we go?
I'd say just enjoy them, be curious. Yeah. And not all dreams are big dreams, so don't overly analyze or obsess either. But it can be fun to keep a dream journal for a while.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Rachel. I appreciate your time and your passion as always.
Oh, it's so good to be with you and share.
So we'll see each other soon. We have our resourcing talk coming up next week on Friday. So we'll have some information on that on our website.
Wonderful. Looking forward to it.
All right. Take care.